Welcome back to Lower Keys Living, everybody. A little different type of video today. The wahoo and kingfish have been biting heavy right at dawn every day, so I'm heading out, going to start at my favorite spotters, planning to out at the Wilkes-Barre and then troll from there, but ended up landing in big fish. So what I'm doing, I'm leaving the boat audio on today, which I don't usually do, no music. I'm going to let you watch almost the entire fight here. At this point, the fish has been on for 2 minutes, but leaving the boat audio on so you can listen to what's happening with the reels, and I will walk you through this entire catch. All right, so I'm going to give you this entire fight here, minus the first minute and a half or so. After it hit my lure, it was just spinning. My reel was on fire, losing line on this one. So I've told you before, I'm out here by myself. I always put my boat in neutral. So I've come close to going over a few times fighting these big fish. Here, this reel, I am just getting my deep diving plug out of the way. At this point, in the background, if you listen, you can hear my other reel just burning. Fish is pulling out line on that other one, so while it's still running, I am getting my other lures out of the way. So on that rod there on the back corner of the boat, I've got my pink deep diving Nomad 25-foot deep lure. So trying to get that out of the way. And again, now this fish, I've already seen it jump, so I've got a good sized sailfish on here. And it has taken off towards the front of the boat. Just trying to decide if I need to walk around at this point. You see, if I'm reeling and then stop, I am not making any ground on this. It's just I'm reeling, but nothing's coming in. And even at this stage, I am still losing a fair amount of line. Started out, this lure was about 150 feet behind the boat, and this is on one of the pink billy bait feather lures that I use. You hear me talk about them all the time. No, I'm not sponsored. I don't get product from Billy Baits. I just love this lure. I catch more fish on this than anything else. Swear by this particular lure. Just then, I had seen the fish jump and know it's a good sized sailfish, even just by how much line I was losing. It was going to be a big one, but just then I got my gaff down from my top rocket launchers and set it down on one of the bottom ones so it'd be close by if needed. One of the key things with these big fish is just being patient. Losing a lot of line, don't want to tighten the drag down. I've got 40-pound monofilament on this pen reel, and that goes to the Billy Bait lure, and that's got a 100-pound leader on it. So just going straight back to that. Here, I'm still losing line. If you watch my reel that the fish is on, you can see my line feeder just zipping back and forth. I am losing a lot of line here still. But I've got almost 1,000 yards of line on that reel. So I've got plenty to give on this one, just hoping it tires out before it spools me. And yes, not safe, should have locked that swinging Nomad lure down on the reel, but trying to keep track. Here I'm going to go over, get my other feather, I had another pink Billy Bait feather lure out on the other side of the boat, getting that in out of the way. All the time I'm keeping a close eye on that reel with the fish to make sure there's no slack. It was still pulling, no slack coming on it, and I was still losing line at this point, but keeping a real close eye on it. And here I realized kind of hazardous having that lure swinging around, so I locked that down. I have a lot of fun out fishing by myself, but it also makes it challenging when I need to fish like this on trying to handle everything on the boat. And I really do try and get those other lures and lines in so I don't end up with a massive tangle when I'm bringing the fish in. And here, if you listen close, you can hear I'm still losing a little bit of line, not as much as I was, so I'm thinking he's starting to tire out. And I will reel in and crank in anytime I get any kind of slack in this line, really try and make up as much ground as I can. And at this stage, I've checked my reel a few times. It is hotter than I have ever felt my fishing reels get before with the amount of line this guy was pulling out and how much friction he was causing on the drag settings on this. So again, on these fish, just being as patient as you can, let it take the line when it wants to take the line, hold ground when you can hold ground, and bring it in when you've got an opportunity to get a little slack. Here at this stage, he's starting to turn towards the boat a little bit, swimming in, so I'm finally making up some ground on this one and cranking as fast as I can. And right in here, it's starting to swim back towards the right, up towards the front of the boat. Made a little bit of ground on this in here. But again, just so much fun fighting these fish. And I look at it as a really cool challenge to land these big fish that are way over my line weight capacity, and just learning that patience and how to fight these fish. So really, a tip of the rod, you can see it's about 90 degrees off that port side of my boat. Here I'm locking down that Nomad lure, because I know if I get this thing over the side of the boat, it's going to be a challenge. You see the tip come up a little bit. It's starting to come towards the boat a little bit, so I'm trying to start making up some ground here a little bit. And now it starts swinging towards the back of the boat, so I'm making up a lot of ground as it's coming in towards the back of the boat. Now I start worrying about it, getting under the props, diving underneath the boat. So see here in a moment, I'm going to pull the rod and try and pull it back around to the port side of the boat, keep it away from those props and not having to go to the other side. But you can see the tension on this rod during this entire fight. So here, this is where I'm trying to pull it back around, realize that is not going to work. It is swimming fast and hard to the other side of the boat. But here I know he is finally tired out. Going to make some ground on this guy pretty quick. But you can see sun is barely up, only halfway up over the horizon line. This is a super early morning bite. And then once I get this thing finally alongside the boat, you'll see I'm really taking my time once I get it in here. I've said in the other videos where I've landed sailfish for you, I've got marks on the edge of the boat so I can measure these pretty accurately in the water. Sailfish need to be at least 60 inches from the bottom jaw to the fork in the tail, not from the tip of the tail to the tip of the sword, but from the fork in the tail to the bottom jaw. And I'm 6'3", and this thing, once I got alongside here, I could see this guy was way longer than I am tall, so I mean I had a really good size fish on here. But again, here I'm really looking at my marks on the boat, dragging this fish alongside, making sure, because I never want to gaff an undersized fish. If it's even questionable, I will unhook them in the water, release those guys, make sure they're back in while I still got some life in them. But right in here, I'm like, okay, this is a nice sized fish. I can see how big this guy is. Now you can see that pink billy bait feather lure in his mouth. And I'm going to gaff this guy, pull him on board, and because he's way too big for my icebox and too big for my fish locker, after I land this guy, that was enough for the day. I just head right back on into the dock to clean this guy up, and he will be smoked for a few hours today, and we'll have some fresh smoked sailfish on the menu for the next few days. There you go. That is a beautiful sailfish right there. Hope you enjoyed the fight. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, follow some more. I've got some more great fishing videos coming up, including some specific locations where I'm at. Here, just heading back into Cudjoe Bay. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you had a great New Year's. We will see you next week on Lower Keys Living.